Hi, welcome. So today we're honored to have Linda Nathan and 4 of her students spend some time with us at Google. I understand there'll be a performance. That's a special treat, as well as we'll get to hear about the Boston Arts Academy, which is a very innovative school in Boston. And Linda has dedicated her life to education. She's founded 3 different schools in the Boston area, done amazing work there. She has a PhD from Harvard and currently lectures at Harvard. And why don't you please give a warm Google welcome to Linda Nathan.
So good afternoon. We're all a little overwhelmed, and I just want to acknowledge Chaim Raviat again for having us. He and his wife Leslie are hosting us this evening as well at another mutual friend's home. So I want to just start by asking, how many of you went to public schools? Good. How many of you went to independent schools? Okay. How many of you were educated here in California? How many of you were educated in the United States? How many of you were educated outside of the United States? And one more question, how many of you have children currently in schools? Okay, so I'm talking about schools. So it's something that we have all experienced. And one of the things that I get asked when people learn that a high school principal has written a book is, why on earth would a high school principal want to write a book? And one of the things I answer is because I had to. I've been in public education for 30 years. Actually, a little more than that. My career actually began out here when I was an undergraduate student at the University of California, Berkeley, and I did some internships in schools in Berkeley as well as adult education. And I felt about 10 years ago that I began to feel it was very important to tell the story of both the difficulties and the joys of being in public education. And the title of the book, The Hardest Questions Aren't on the Test, is a very purposeful title because I'm, quite frankly, very, very scared by the time that we're living in, where everything is being measured by high-stakes testing, and the notion of creativity and play has sort of become obsolete part of our vocabulary. So we now talk about kindergarten children, 5 years old, being tested. And those kinds of conversations are conversations that give me pause. But I want to just tell you a little bit of my background to give you a sense of who's standing in front of you. I began my teaching career, my actual career, in the San Juan, Puerto Rico public schools as a Title I reading teacher. My students were from urban San Juan and had never seen the ocean. You know where San Juan is, right? So it gave me a sense very early in my career about what questions to begin asking about how kids experience school, their community, and their lives. The notion, and none of my kids knew how to swim. So I began to think early in my career about questions of access and equity. I began in the late 70s in the Boston Public Schools as a bilingual teacher in a large middle school, and my students were in the basement, all of them, and they were integrated just for a part of the school day for gym and sometimes for art, but whenever they left the bilingual wing, they would come back with bruises and sometimes bloody noses from fights they had with other kids in the school. And this was supposed to be a time, if any of you know the history of Boston, of racial and ethnic healing. It was right after the court-ordered desegregation case, so we were all supposed to get along. But most of the teachers that I worked with had never taught Black or brown or bilingual kids. So the idea of coming together as a whole community was very foreign to them. So I began to think about how, as a young teacher, I could have an impact on that school community. And I have a background in the arts, and so the first thing I did was I began to, after school, direct plays for my students, my bilingual students. And very soon, other students in the school wanted to be involved. And so we began a bilingual, which then became a trilingual theater troupe because we had deaf students. So we had Spanish-speaking kids, English-speaking kids, American Sign Language kids, and then teachers wanted to get involved in the theater work. So I began casting teachers on stage, and soon those same students that had gotten bloody noses and bruises were coming back to the bilingual wing with their friends who were African American, white, or Asian. And the friendships that started from their work in the arts ensemble began transferring to outside the school walls. So I saw very early as a young teacher that the arts could have a powerful roadmap to bringing communities together and helping people think differently about questions of race and ethnicity and language and even social class. So when I had the chance to found the Boston Arts Academy 12 years ago, I was enormously excited by a school in Boston that could rise above that same racial misunderstanding and begin to create a place where kids would, through the arts, feel a sense of safety, security, and would begin to think of themselves as being able to truly act on and in the world as citizens. And so the book tells the stories of those students, of those teachers. It raises some questions that I really hope all of you would want to ask wherever your own children, your nieces, your nephews, your eventual grandchildren, friends of your children would go to school. One of the things that I really believe, and in a minute I'll invite the students up to interact with you a little bit about this, is that every school needs to have an overarching framework. And that's got to be something you can touch and feel the minute you walk in. Google absolutely has an overarching framework, and we felt it. You don't feel it out on the drive, I have to say. You don't feel it outside. Similarly, in our building, you don't feel it outside. We are as close to Fenway Park as that wall. And so we're in a very interesting neighborhood in Boston, and our building sort of looks like a tanker ship. So you don't, from the outside, get a sense of what goes on inside. I think that's the same here. But the minute you walk into this place, you get a sense of the kind of creativity and energy. And when you walk into our school, the same is true. So one of the challenges I throw out to you is when you walk into a school, can you tell what that overarching framework is? Can you tell what that school stands for? And that is different than a school having a mission or a vision statement. Standing for something is what I invite all schools to think about how you do that. In our school, we stand for something. And I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to certainly come back to the mic afterwards to answer any questions. But at this point, I want to ask my students to come take over and come out to the floor. And I'll just give you a little context of our school as they're getting ready. Our school is about 400 students. It's a high school. We are a Boston public school. Students do not pay tuition. They do have to audition in, and the students will certainly talk about that. 67% of our kids are eligible for free and reduced lunch, which is the federal indicator for poverty. 22% are designated special needs students, about 9% English language learners, and we are extremely representative of the Boston Public Schools. So I invite the Boston Arts Academy students to do their presentation, and then we'll all be back up on stage. Thank you.
that? Mr. Lonigan, come back. As the right side of the arrow is going up, that makes it positive. And the left side of the arrow is going down, that should make it a negative. So why are you saying it's positive? Mr. Lonergan, I really need your help. Can you please help me? Mr. Lonergan! Mr. Lonergan, I don't understand. Everybody else gets it except me. I'm the only person. Mr. Lonergan, please, can you please help me? I really don't understand. Mr. Lonergan, I quit!
Refine.
Invent.
Connect.
Own. Refine.
Invent.
Connect.
Own. Refine.
Invent. Connect. Refine.
What makes this word inventive? Connect. What is the context?
Connect.
What is the context?
Own it.
What do I need to be successful?
Own it.
What do I need to be successful?
Own it. Invent.
Own it. Invent. Ask the question. Ask the question.
Invent.
Ask.
Do I take risks? Do I push myself?
Invent. Take risks. Push yourself. What is that? New. That's the only word that appears in my mind. New. But what is that? Well, that's me. Only a baby to dance. A toddler. Well, an egg in a shell. Wondering if I can push through this. Struggling and struggling to pick things up fast. People looking at me wondering, who is this kid? He has no training.
And why is he here?
Half of my mind is telling me,
Leave. Go away.
run, leave, and don't come back. The other half is saying,
Ignore them.
them. So I follow the good idea and ignore them. Still wondering if I have what it takes to pass all the tests that are to come.
Connect. Who's the audience?
Connect.
Who
Does
is
my
the
work
audience?
connect?
What is the audience?
Does
Connect.
my work connect?
Refine.
Have I conveyed my message?
Connect.
Connect. Own.
Own it?
Yes. Own it. Are you proud of your work?
Am I proud of my work? Does my audience connect? Have I conveyed my message?
Yes.
I can't understand why being here is harder than what I thought. People, the audience can congratulate you, but they never really see the work. What's behind it? People don't understand the amount of time they put into something. They really piss me off.
Why?
When they look at painting, drawing, piece of clay, and say, what is that? What is the point of doing that? People don't understand that what we try to do is put whatever is in our heads into a piece of artwork. I'm trying to say I love you with some blocks of clay.
Or dance.
Or a monologue.
Or a song.
And you don't get it?
Thank you!
I'm trying to say that whenever I make a drawing
Or dance.
Or a monologue.
Or a song.
with value for you to see, perfect and beautiful, you asked me.
What is that?
What is that?
What is that?
What is it that you do?
Oh, you draw?
Oh, you dance.
You play, you sing.
No, really. You're an actor?
Is that really going to help you out in life?
You're gonna spend your rest of your life doing art?
How do you make any money?
Creating sculptures?
Sculptures people don't even understand.
Can't you do something better?
No!
So we will continue to refine, invent, connect, and own, because we know that is what we need to do in order to be successful.
As artists, as scholars, and as citizens.
Hey everybody, my name is Dominic Wilson, and I'm a senior instrumentalist at the Boston Arts Academy.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Rodriguez, and I'm a junior martial arts major at the Boston Arts Academy.
Hey, I'm Michael Patterson. I'm a sophomore dancer at the Boston Arts Academy.
Hi, my name is Katie Fernaro. I'm a senior theater major at the Boston Arts Academy.
So questions. What do you want to know about us? What do you want to know about the school? And we're not going home with those books. All the royalties go back to the school. So we hope that you'll buy the book as we end. But questions for us? Any of the students? Don't be shy. Come on, you might, go ahead. Can you talk in the mic?
I'm just wondering who put together this performance, if you did it, the four of you collaboratively, other people involved?
Well, we first came up with 3 ideas: talent show, tour of the school, and the last one was auditions to get into the school. And we kind of just incorporated all 3 with the help of head theater director at the school, Miss Rodriguez. And she kind of put all our ideas together and scripted them so everything was in order.
Other questions? Yes?
So each of you represents one faction of the arts at your high school. So I'm curious as to how often you actually work together, putting your art into forms like this.
You want to answer that, Michael? Do you want to answer how I had a wacko idea?
Well, in school, we don't, well, sometimes we may collaborate as all majors, but most of the time we're separated in our own majors and doing our own studies.
There are times within our academic classes that we do come together and we like focus on a different art. So for example, like last year we did a project in math where we did a lighting design project. So no matter what major you are, you kind of stepped into the theater world, which is my department, and we went into the black box and we took a look at the ceiling and the lighting grid, and we all designed our own lighting plots, and on a paper we imagined that we hung our own lights for whatever we wanted to do. So some kids chose a runway show or some chose a theater show, and each student, no matter what major you were, you kind of were into the theater world and you kind of designed your own lighting plot and everything like that. Freshman year you do Africa Lives. So all majors come together and you put together, whether it's a dance piece or a performance or even a song or a drawing for representing a different place in Africa. So.
Could you all tell what we stood for? What do we stand for? What's that? We got own it. What else? Refine. Invent. Connect. So when I was referencing earlier that we stand for something and we have an overarching framework, for us, RICO is not a federal racketeering act. It is the habits of the graduate. And when Leslie was asking, do we come together like this? No, these students knew students had the opportunity to apply to come on this tour with us, and so part of that was coming up with this piece. But certainly in all of their academic classes, they work across majors, but they spend minimum 2.5 hours a day in their arts major. They have a much longer school day than most traditional schools, and they can certainly tell you what their schedules are if you're interested. But there was someone over here that had a question.
Are you integrating the curriculum across the majors?
So the question is how, I think the answer is, what are the experiences you've had in your academic classes using the arts is the way, and I don't know, Justin or John.
Well, last year, we did a project in math, and it was about animation. So we drew a bunch of note cards, and we had to show how a parabola moves big and small. And so that was a way that I could use my major, visual arts, in my math class.
Another example of that would be science. We did a project where the whole subject was looking upon the evolution of humans, and we had to create a garage band piece that explained the evolution of humans.
So we do a lot of integrating in the academics, but the objective of the arts major is that any student who graduates from the Boston Arts Academy, if they want, is competitive to go on to a professional company or to major in the arts. About 40% of our students, actually, I'm here with my college and career counselor, Cynthia Hairston, major in the arts, and we'll just do a little plug. So You Think You Can Dance, right? Anyone knows the show, So You Think You Can Dance? The winner is a 2007 graduate from the Boston Arts Academy. So he certainly is making us all very proud. There was another question?
I was wondering why you chose Boston Arts Academy, and if you had, other high schools in the area that you could have chose from.
Yeah, go down the line.
I was lucky enough to go to a school that had a band. I started saxophone in 6th grade, and then most of all the band players go to BAA from McCormick. So, and BAA was only the really school around that I could go to continue my music and evolve.
I chose Boston Arts Academy because when I went to middle school, I've always been like to draw, and I always draw. And I asked my teacher which was the best high school for me to go to pursue my art, and then she said that it was Boston Arts Academy. And then I asked her if there was another high school because that was kind of far away from my house. And she said that there was no other high school that I could go to follow art. And so that's why I picked Boston Arts Academy.
My decision to pick Boston Arts Academy was totally out of the blue, because if you knew me, I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, and I played soccer all my life. And so when I immigrated into the United States and started going to middle school, that's all I played. I played soccer. And so when it came to high school, there's a school called Boston College High, and it's really good, especially if you're a soccer player. You can get like scholarships. And so I got a scholarship there, but it was only a fourth of the tuition, and the tuition was $30,000. And so my mom was like, I'm sorry, pick another choice. And so one thing that separated BAA from other schools is that you can be yourself, and you can go as an independent, but also have other people to help you. In other schools, you try to be different. You try to be someone that you're not. And so that's how I got to be in BAA, and because I had the passion for dance.
So I was approached by my drama teacher in like 7th grade, and she told me, what do you think for high school? There's this school called Boston Arts Academy. You should really audition for it. And I was like, oh, I'm only in 7th grade. I'm not even thinking about that. And then when 8th grade came along, I auditioned, but we didn't find out till it was really late March or beginning of April. So I had to put a deposit down for Trinity Catholic High School. And I didn't really want to go there, but I didn't know if I'd get in or not. And then I got in, and I was really excited to be able to go to a school that has not only just the academics, but really specializes in the arts, because that was always just an after-school thing at my other school, but it was something that I could really grow and learn and develop within here at the Boston Arts Academy.
So I strongly identify with the ownership and pride in ownership of what you're doing, because I work in open source, and the pride and ownership is a reflection of how you work in that space and what you sort of share with other people. So how do you guys value the other three components that you put there? I mean, what makes those special to you? Or do those not, are they the same, all three of them, or all four of those attributes?
Which of the habits do you most value?
Yeah, or why do you value your habits?
I most value probably refine and invent, because especially as a theater major, we're constantly thinking, we're constantly being creative, constantly coming up with ideas and how to improve our work. And same within your academics, there's always a way to make your work better. And refine, especially last week working on my 2 theater monologues, which we're presenting next week, is I presented them on a Monday. I was half off book. I was sitting there with my script, reading it to the class, and I told the teacher, I said, I'm just exploring. I'm still very new to my monologues. I went home over the next day. I studied them for an hour and a half. I went in Wednesday, and I performed these 2 monologues, and everybody's like, you did such a good job. And I was so proud of myself because I was like, 1.5 hours sitting at home in my room working on my art brought me from Monday to Wednesday to a whole nother level from where I was. So refining because I can always make them better, and inventing because sitting in my room, I was collecting ideas and thoughts and movements and levels and all these new nuances for my monologues.
I take to heart all the elements of Rico, but one part of Rico that stands out to me, like Katie said, is refine. Because as a dancer, you have to learn how to refine your work. If you fall, you get back up. You don't walk off and be mean with it. So refine is a big thing in my life. Even in academics, if you have an essay and if the vocabulary is wrong, your teacher might say, oh, can you refine it? You say, sure, I'll refine it. And you give 100% on that refined paper.
I would say refine and connect, because in visual arts you always have something new to make up and to make it better. If you make a drawing, you messed up, you erase, you do it again until you get it better. And connect, I would say, because visual arts always try to make up a work that people and the audience can connect with, like I said on the play. Because it's hard when you do a piece of artwork that you are the only one that understands it, and you are the only one that knows what the point of doing it is. So I think that connect is really important for me to put into my work so that people can connect with something they saw before, or their neighborhoods, or their family, culture, any single little thing that people can connect with what I do.
To me, the biggest Rico would be invent, because as a saxophonist, we're always creating new lines, we're always trying to create things that will make people look at us and, wow, he's really good. And I use this instrument, I see it as a tool in my way to express myself to the audience. How many of you know John Coltrane or Charlie Parker? They're really good, and they use their instrument or tool or whatever you want to call it to express themselves and sing, really. It's not like they're playing, they're singing to the audience. So invent would be really important to me, because creating those lines and that tone would make the audience look at me and like, wow, he's really good.
So the arts, all of your disciplines are really about communicating to an audience, presenting something, making some kind of, you're basically showing something to someone and they're watching it or listening to it. And so that's a one element of connect, is connecting with your audience. But also another element of connection is working with other people, collaborating in a group and learning from each other. And I'd like you to comment a little bit about how your interactions in the school satisfy your need to connect socially with other people.
I feel that a lot of us, we come to the school for our art and what we have passion to do, and we all connect on that same level. Whereas other schools, everybody connects, either the basketball players stick with the basketball players or the soccer players stick with the soccer players. And everybody's on the same level here at BAA. And when somebody needs help, we all understand that, and we all help each other out and everything. So it's pretty cool. Do you have something to say?
But yeah, at BAA, the one thing that really brings us all together and we have this strong bond is our passion for the arts. So no matter what, everybody kind of looks out for each other, and everybody kind of keeps an eye on each other to make sure that everybody's doing well. Especially within each of our arts, we have what we call an ensemble. So I'm not just a theater major, I'm a member of an ensemble who's like my family. So if one person's struggling, we all help them, or we're all struggling with them, and we're right there beside them to help them in whatever they need. So if somebody has a problem, we're all there for them to talk to. If I have a problem, I know that they're the people that I can go to, and we always help each other, whether it's within our major, our scene, our monologue, or in an academic class, like with my math homework.
So this is maybe more of a question for the principal than the students. I mean, several of you have mentioned how you feel like the arts really bring you together, and I know, I mean, coming from a strong music background myself in high school and college, I felt like it was always really easy to generate an automatic community around, you know, your choir or your band or different, those groups you were involved in, but I never, I didn't find that those communities grew up as easily around English or, you know, European history or statistics. And so I'm curious, you know, if you have tried to kind of implement this framework in a standard academic high school, you know, and if that's been successful, and any insights that you have on that kind of topic.
I might turn it over to them because they have a good sense of how it works in the academics. So the question of how do you sort of do this in a standard classroom, and my easy answer to that is, without being disrespectful, I think those standard classrooms are broken. And I think that we need to really be reinventing how we think about education and connecting to who our kids are. So when Jocelyn talked about doing animation in math class, that is the way I believe math class should be taught, that you need to bring in kinesthetic learning, emotional learning, physical learning, you know, you name it. We can no longer just have teacher teach at the blackboard or the smart board or whatever you want to call it and not connect with who you all are. So we work very hard in our academic classes to have them be very relevant, and relevant does not need to be soft to who our students are and to their lives, and they're required, as in all of their academic classes, to work together in teams. They can't graduate from the school, and no one has experienced this quite yet. The two seniors are about to go into it. Our hardest semester, if you can believe it, is second semester senior year, because we don't believe there should be a minute of time wasted in high school, and too many high school students, you get into college, you're done. You can't graduate from our school without getting to a certain level in Humanities 4, which is our English and history last year, and they will have to work across teams to accomplish that. They're all scared, and their grade will depend on their team. So we've really taken this notion of connection and collaboration to being a requirement for graduation. There aren't too many high schools in the country that make second semester be that tough. I would argue every high school should make, or it should only be a 3-year thing. You know, why have this ridiculous second semester? But our students are so ready for college once they finish that, so I appreciate your question. Are there other questions? Or we can certainly... Go ahead.
So I went to a fairly small high school in my area in Los Angeles. It's only 3 grades, only a little less than 3,000 people. And I'm wondering, how would this model work? How might you think it would work with an order of magnitude more students? Yeah, 3,000 or 4,000. You're 4 grades, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty rigid that way. I don't think particularly urban kids need connection, need relationships, and you could certainly have a campus of 3,000. We were just on a campus of that large this morning in Oakland, but there were 4 separate schools on that campus. I think young people primarily need relationships, and guess what? So do adults. So, you know, our faculty has to be able, even though we're 60 strong, to be able to sit in a room like this and debate and discuss. And I think when you get as big as 3,000, kids just get lost unless you can have small learning communities or small schools within that. I don't know. I mean, could you imagine the Arts Academy at 3,000? No, because you wouldn't know your teachers. You know, I mean, that's the real dilemma that I think we've, because of efficiency of space, we've let our high schools be way, way too big, and I think we need to get it back down. Listen, we want to thank you. You guys have been terrific. We're not leaving. We'll hang around. We'll sell books. We'll chat. But thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience for us. Thank you very much.